what are you now seeing in terms of buy now, pay later, and how much has that crept into the people's budgets that you're looking at?
Buy now, pay later's fundamentally, I'd be very few clients that I've got that don't have buy now, pay later. Now, I'm not fundamentally opposed to buy now, pay later. Yeah. I think it's quite a good device to use to smooth out cash flow, to smooth out purchases. It's when people start using it for essentials. So when you start seeing it for food, and you'll do your buy now, pay later, and you'll get some food on it. Okay, it's repayable over 3 to 6 or 4 to 6 weeks, and you're saying, yeah, but next week you'll be doing the same thing, and that'll be spread over 4 to 6 weeks and 4 to 6 weeks. Well, that becomes a sort of a snowball. It's like a hamster wheel, and suddenly you've got all of these obligations going out in a particular week, which probably would exceed what your budget would be for your food or your essentials. When you see you're able to use buy now, pay later for petrol, it can become dangerous. Again, if you know you have the cash and you're going to be able to pay it, that's fine. If it's just delaying it because you haven't got enough money in your kitty, oh gosh, I'm putting I've got to spend 120 on groceries this week. Gosh, I haven't got any money in my bank account. I'll use buy now, pay later for that, knowing that next week you'll be doing exactly the same thing. That's when it starts to get quite dangerous, And a worse one, which is even worse, would be a credit card. Okay. When if you're not going to pay it off, and know you're going to be able to pay it off, you're getting stuck. You're getting stuck.
So how does one break the cycle if that's the cycle that they get themselves into? Because recently someone sent me a screenshot of basically their outgoings, and one of the line items was buy now, pay later, and it was about $236. There was Disney, Netflix and things. And like my accounting brain goes to those three things. Do we really need them? But I don't know what's in that 236. But the 236 was a big amount of the total income. And, that's where for me, I would be thinking, okay, that's where to start. But the argument would be, well, I can't start there because I need those things that I'm now putting on buy now, pay later, I would imagine, right? And I have done some of these things in my earlier years, so I sort of get it. But how does one break the cycle if you're talking to them to go, right, we don't want to keep doing that in the future, so what do we need to change?
I would typically start with, once we've done the budget, we've worked out where we're sitting with that, is then doing a cash flow. And I basically do with quite a number of clients, I'll do a 13-week cash flow.
13 weeks.
13 weeks just happens to works out in this like the KiwiSaver hardship cycle as well. So 13 weeks, and you're putting in everything that's in there. You're putting in, all the debt repayments. You get to the point, say, okay, so what are your obligations on your buy now, pay later, and how are those spread out? Right, I'm going to put which weeks do those need to be paid? Right now, can we move to cash? Let's stop using credit. Stop using buy now, pay later. Let's work out if we can just go to cash. In fact, I've got one client I'm working with at the moment. So salary comes in every 2 weeks. You say, right. And I think in our budget we've got, 150 for food. We've got 75 for petrol and things, and that's per week. I say, right, draw that out in cash. And you've got a little bit of entertainment in there. Draw it out in cash and start working through it. And let's see if you can stick to the budget, and it'll be worked on the basis that you're not going to run into an overdraft, or you're working within your overdraft limit. And each week, where do we sit? What money's still left in the bank account? And you know that once you've started to run out of money, okay, what's happened? Have I overspent on what I think I'm spending on my grocery bill or my fuel bill? Now, it's quite draconian to go to cash, but actually it's quite a good discipline.
Yeah.
And particularly when you say, and we've done, I've worked through it. We'll have looked at the 3 months of bank statements and said, and I came back to and say, so you're spending $130 a week at groceries, but I can see you're spending $75 or $80 on takeaways, for instance. Now, I can put all of that into the cash flow that I'm doing, but guess what? If we keep doing this, you've got an unarranged overdraft which just keeps ballooning out and ballooning out and ballooning out. So you can visually see that that's not going to be something that's going to be sustainable. Well, you're not going to get it anyway. They're not going to allow you to have that. So part of it's actually just trying to break that cycle, and it can be as draconian to say, right, let's go to cash for all the basics. So when you do your shopping, when you pay for your petrol, whatever it is, you're paying with it in cash, and that way you're knowing what's going on. And when you run out, you're saying, "Oh gosh, do I pop in for a quick takeaway?" And you're going, "Well, $25. No, oh gosh, no, I've only got 75 to get me through another 4 or 5 days. So no."
Yeah.
So and these are this is a cash flow for someone that's working. This isn't a beneficiary.
Yeah.
So that would be where we would start.